some new tools to show you and some new finds. Some tools that I found that you still can't find and I think are really cool. Be showing you some tools today that, maybe are cool, maybe not cool. Got some things sitting in front of me, some new technology and airless spray tips stuff we'll be talking about. So yeah, it's cool. So I like to discover new tools. I've been able to, travel all over the world and get to meet a lot of painters from all over the world and get to see some pretty cool tools. I was introduced to tools I've never seen before when I traveled. I mean, one time I was in Hawaii, I was introduced to a tool that I had no idea even existed, and I've been painting for like 15 years. I'll show you that tool if you can guess what that was. If you ever remember or seen any of my videos when I was over in Hawaii interviewing painters. But yeah, I was at the hardware show, not too long ago. I think this was the International Builder Show, and a painter came up to me from, I believe, Florida, and he said, "Hey, I got this, killer idea and this new invention," and he gave me this pretty cool story, and he's a super cool guy, and it's pretty cool to get to meet him and hear his story. And he was pretty emotional about it. And I ended up getting him. He ended up sending me these things, the ladder booties, and they're called the ladder booty right there. I bugged him and said, "Hey, whatever happened to that invention?" Months went by, and he eventually sent them to me because he said he was working on the prototypes. He sent them to me, and I eventually got them. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, these things are pretty dang cool." And then I messaged him back. I'm like, "Where can I get them, buy them, and how much do they cost?" And I messaged him probably 3 or 4 times, never heard back from him. And I actually think it actually is a really cool idea. So if you don't know what it is, a ladder booty, ladder booties, your ladders, when you actually paint a house, you're painting an exterior, and even for that matter, the inside of a house. But where we're going to be primarily talking about exteriors, if you take a ladder with ladder boots on it, same day, next day, especially the same day, you lean the ladder up against it, you up there, you continue to paint, do touch-ups, whatever, to trim around the window. The ladder invariably either sticks to the paint, pulls the paint off, or marks up the paint. So you'll see me, I've made multiple videos. I actually wrap my ladder boots in plastic, just what comes off my masker, my 3M masker. I'll typically do that once every couple of weeks, and eventually the plastic starts to wear off, and then you put new plastic on, or I just wrap right over the top of the plastic, and the 3M plastic keeps it from sticking, and it keeps marring up the surface. This little booty actually goes onto the ladder, and you cinch it up, and now you have a booty on there. You're not adding more plastic to the landfill, more trash to the landfill. The booty is soft. It's not going to stick to the surface. I thought this idea, I did email him back, I thought this wasn't a good idea because he said the patch is non-stick, but that I think could eventually scratch it or mar it or do something. I wouldn't want that patch on there, even though it's non-stick. I told him he should probably sublimate his logo on there instead of sewing a patch on or ironing. I think it's iron on a patch. Nope, it's actually sewed on. This is a really, really cool idea. These things are super cool. I can't get a hold of the guy. I never could find out how much they cost or where you could actually get them at. He never replied to me. If you ever watch this video, whoever you are, if you invented these, this is actually a really cool idea. I actually love it. And I do use them. You can see they're dirty. I use them. So I use them. As far as I know, this is the only pair that exists. So it's a great idea, great concept. Once again, it sends you or saves you from just adding, plastic to the landfill. The plastic I use, off the masking roll, you end up using, about a strip that much. It's the 3M plastic. That's expensive. And so eventually, shortly it's going to pay for that. And then, you're not trying to rip it off, cut it off and redo it. So, there's a cool tool we just started off with, a painter's tool. I think is a great idea. So, If you have any, cool ideas, if you do have questions, shoot me your questions. My live stream is always your opportunity to hang out here and get your questions answered, live. So we've got, my wife, she's in Alabama. So I'm happy to tell you this week, is it this week? So today is Friday. This week, it's Sunday. So I guess, within the last 7 days, my fifth grandchild was born, a healthy baby. Awesome, Beth. So stoked, so excited. I'm going to go see her after the show. So that was a big deal. My wife was in Alabama prior to that, prior to my middle daughter, having birth to Beth. And she was there because my oldest daughter is pregnant with her third. And it was a false alarm. My wife flew to Alabama. Brooke didn't have the baby. She flew back. We made it. We were there for my middle daughter, McKenna, who works in the store. So it is Thursday. Yeah, I lose track of because my wife has been gone. She's been gone and now she's gone again. So I lose track of days. So today's Thursday. So so thanks a lot, Will. Will says congrats. So totally stoked about that. But then, yesterday, I think it was yesterday, that my wife flew out again. My oldest daughter thought she was going into labor again. Wife flies to Alabama, and she hasn't had the baby yet, but we're waiting for the sixth. My sixth grandchild is coming. So Tyson is coming. So I'm totally stoked about that. And I'm one happy granddad. So I got to hang out with my Abigail, so one of my other grandchildren. She was at the store with me today, running around crazy. It was get to work with her. It was so fun. So finally caught the man himself live. Congrats on everything with the family. Jay Henton says, so thanks for being on. If you're on here live, this is your chance to ask questions, whatever you want. So, but I'm just talking about tools. I'm gonna show you guys some tools that I use. I've got I think 6 bins of tools out in my storage facility that I just get sent to me all the time. Like I said, I've traveled all over the world, got to see tools if you didn't know. So I mean, a lot of you are familiar with the Carbide scrapers. So the 50 millimeter Carbide scraper. This is the Paint Life version of the Carbide scraper, indestructible, non-breakable. I was actually in Hawaii, and I was over there, and some painters were painting, I think it was like a supermarket or something like that. And I just rolled up to get them on camera and interview them. And I asked, one of the guys, hey, tell me what your favorite painting tool is. And he pulled this thing out of his pocket. And I was familiar with scrapers, the big bulky scrapers and stuff. You can't keep them in your pocket. They got a little knob handle on them, and scraping sucked. I mean, I hated it. I never wanted to do it. I typically just scraped with my 5-in-1 tool that was in my pocket, but he showed me this tool, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the killerest tool I've ever seen. I think it's absolutely amazing. So it fits in your pocket just like a 5-in-1 tool. So he told me what it was, and I went back, and it literally took me about 3 months to find it. Do a search for it. I had to order one. I got it from overseas, and eventually I found out where they're being manufactured, and we started getting them, and they're actually sold in our Paint Life store, the Paint Life scraper. So if you've never seen one of these or used one of these things, the scraper actually makes scraping fun, literally. So I remember I handed them to my guys, and we got back when I bought them. I bought a bunch of them, and so that was quote, John, my supervisor at the time, he said, dude, this thing literally makes scraping fun. So it's used for all kinds of things. One of the great things about this tool is it's so sharp, razor sharp. If you get a run on a flat surface like trim or something, or a cabinet doors or something like that, you can scrape the run right out without having to fill it with Bondo, doing excessive sanding, trying to sand the run. You can scrape it right out. Then you can rub the run out with denatured alcohol. Makes the process super fast, super easy. If you've never seen that scraper, I know now because I've been using them for years now, and you've probably seen them in my videos, but it's probably one of the greater finds that I ever discovered, and I didn't discover it because painters already in Europe were using it. They were popular over in Europe, but I discovered it for me. So when I say that, it was just a new discovery for me personally that just kind of just like game changed, the prepping process inside and outside, painting. So another cool tool, if you haven't seen it before, there it is. That's what it costs. It's a 17.99, for that scraper. It's pretty dang cool. If you've never tried it, you'll absolutely love it. So if you don't have one, like every painter should have a paint life scraper, in their pocket, along with a 5-in-1 tool. To me, the favorite one, Carbide scraper. I may talk about them all the time. 5-in-1. That's not the 5-in-1, but that's the putty knife version. So it has a knife and your tool, like a spatula or a 5-in-1 tool integrated into it. So cool stuff. So I'm going to be talking about tips too. So tip technology continually evolves, for some players out there. It's in some players it's not evolving, it's just stayed the same for a lot of years. But a new company that's I've recently been introduced to is kind of like you know creating some new technology when it comes to spray tips. I'll talk about here shortly, and that's Exit Flex, and it's Swiss made technology, because most of the spray tips that you're actually using these days now, they all just come from China. And so that would be what we call Chinese technology. And not to knock that technology, but sometimes it's not the best technology on the planet. Swiss technology is kind of like been known historically to be some of the best technology there is out there. So I'll talk about some of the tips I've been introduced to here shortly. If you've got anything you want to share, just throw it in the chat. Any cool tools that you have used in the past, we'd love to hear what you've used and stuff that if I've never talked about a tool before. If you think the ladder booties are cool, if you know where you can actually find them, I think I would love to find them. And I'm sure if you get your hands on them, you and everybody else would probably love to find them too. Those scrap mostly anything you need or scrape mostly anything you need off. Jay says, yeah. They the scraper like just scrapes anything, man. So interior, exterior, it's a double-sided 50-millimeter carbide blade. So it's solid carbide. If you hit nails and stuff like that, you're going to nick the carbide, but they stay sharp for a long, long time unless you hit like a metal object and nick the blade. And then if you do nick the blade and stuff, you can just flip it over. It just by the thumb screw right there, and then you have a new blade. And the blades come in 3-packs and 10-packs. So if you've never checked one of those things out, they're available at Paint Life Supply Co. So that is the heavy duty version right there that screws onto an extension pole. I never screwed onto an extension pole, but I always just keep it in my pocket. I always have one in my pocket along with a 5-in-1 tool. So there's a QR code that actually just take you right to the link. So to my store. So if you didn't know, it's amazing. Like, so if you didn't know, I do have a family owned and operated store. I was there fulfilling orders today. So my wife is gone. Younger daughter is busy with her kid. I get up in the morning. I got up at 8 o'clock, went start fulfilling. If you ordered from the store, I was fulfilling your order. So it's a family owned and operated store. Me, my wife, my daughters work in it, and we fulfill your orders. If you actually get on the chat, you go to the website, paintlifesupply.com, get on the chat, you're actually talking to us. So most chats nowadays are AI, and I think that's like one of the most annoying things there is. Every time I get on these chats, it's just a bot and I type live person, and then it'll like spit out something. And I just keep hitting live person, live person, live person until I actually get a live person. It's absolutely annoying, and most chats are like that now. So you get on our chat, you get a live person. If we're sleeping, you get nobody. I mean, your chat will actually show up, and will answer it, and I believe you get emailed, but because we do answer every single chat that actually comes across. So if you have a question, shoot us a message there. If you call our store, you're actually calling us. So you're not calling a bot. So we're here to help you, man. So we appreciate anybody that orders from our store, paintlifesupply.com. We are I'm gonna do another raffle, or our raffle for an Apollo Precision 6 was a big hit. Sold out pretty fast. We're gonna be doing another one. I ordered a couple more Apollos today. And so we're going to be giving out another one, pretty soon. Apollo sprayers, I think, are the best HVLP sprayers that they're the best I've ever used. Absolutely amazing. The Precision 6 is a 6-stage turbine, sprayer. So 6-stage turbines by Apollo that's like new to them. So that's pretty cool. So you don't have to thin your products anymore. So going to be doing another raffle. I'm getting ready to do that here shortly. So if you missed out on the last one, your chance is coming, for the next one. So, and we're also going to do a raffle for an Ecosand sander. So stay tuned for that. So pretty cool. So if you got any questions, just shoot them to me. I think some people are starting to, Kyler Hernandez, Kyler says, has it been a slower year for you all? I've been busier than heck. So, I mean, I wear a lot of different hats, I'm on these live shows. I travel a lot. I've got an online store, that I have to manage and help my family manage and run. I paint. I'm shooting content all the time. I'm getting ready to shoot, a huge exterior series content, and Sherwin-Williams has provided rain refresh for me to test. So I can't wait to test out Sherwin-Williams rain refresh exterior paint. So I hear this technology, you just you paint your house with it, and literally the rain will just refresh your paint. It'll wash your paint off. So that's absolutely insane. So this new technology is self-cleaning paint now. So I'm super stoked, super excited to test it out. I just went and picked all of the paint up today, getting ready to start filming on Monday. So that's going to be a huge filming project, painting, doing a lot of content, and testing out rain refresh. If you have any experience with it, let me know. So one thing I heard, Sherwin-Williams, I was right there, and they said, whatever you do, you have to use this masking tape because tape don't stick to it. So I'm like, well, that's interesting. If water beads on it and dirt doesn't stick to it, well, naturally, your tape's probably not going to stick to it. For how long? I don't know. But Frog Tape makes, I don't know if I have a roll in here. They make, I should have brought a roll in. They make a high adhesion tape specifically designed for these rain refresh technologies that tape won't stick to. So so Frog Tape apparently worked with Sherwin-Williams, because Sherwin-Williams has this technology not just in the because they just recently used it with their woodscapes, solid color stain. So they have the rain refresh technology and their woodscapes. They have it in their exterior paint. I believe it's emerald rain refresh. So so if you go out and you start masking and the tape just falls off, regardless of what tape you're using, if it wasn't, Frog Tape's high adhesion tape, you know why. So this technology, paint doesn't stick to it, just like water, won't stick to it, and dirt won't stick to it. So good technology, but you got to know what you're doing when you're, painting and messing with it. So I can't actually wait to go out there, do that, put some tape on there and compare two different tapes and see if it falls off. I'm going to be doing some video content on all kinds of stuff like that. So hopefully you guys, will love it. So very cool. Sounds crazy. I'm all about staying on top of new technology. Hello from Australia. So we got Australia in the house. I've been to Australia. Um, um, Dulux. Dulux flew me and my wife, John, and his wife over there, years ago to teach in the Deluxe Accredited Academy. What an amazing experience I had. Absolutely loved it. If they'd ever want to bring me back, I'd love to go back there. I was there teaching multiple days in the academy, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I was in Melbourne, and I was in Sydney, and Sydney's absolutely beautiful. Melbourne has amazing coffee, great food, love it. So let's go Australia. So that was Corbin Weston. Shout out to you. Thanks for being on the show. How do you bid on a bedroom, full-size room? I keep messing myself up and bidding. I think I'm understanding myself in bidding exterior painting. Exterior painting is a lot easier to bid than interior painting because there's a lot more variables with interior painting because the exterior of the house, I mean, you just have your colors and 1, 2, 3, 5 colors, whatever, and the whole process of application of those colors is fairly straightforward. When it comes to interior bidding, does it include the trim? Does it include the walls? Does it include the ceilings? Does it include the trim one color, the walls one color, and the ceilings another color? Or does it include the trim one color, the walls and ceilings one color? So there's a lot of different variables, and those variables I just kind of spit out there, make it from simple to very difficult to do, from very quick to very time consuming, from one day to multiple days. So you can walk into a room, you can do, it one color, the whole entire room for that matter, trim walls and ceilings one color, you can do it in one day. Now, if you're doing the trim, or if you're doing the walls one color and the ceilings one color, it's a little more difficult to do in one day. If you're doing the trim and the walls, it's almost impossible to do the trim one day and the walls on the same day. However, we have. So doing just one room, you took just kind of like this room, a small job, and you've made it a multi-day job, and you need to be paid for 2 days, full days, because regardless of whether it's just going to take you a couple hours, it's your time and travel and everything, and it's a 2-day job. I mean, yeah, you could work on it for 4 hours and then just go and do another job. But I always look at it as being, if it's 2 days, it's 2 8-hour days, and I'm going to bid it, accordingly. So, with that being said, when I first started my painting company, I literally painted bedrooms for $75. And, did I make anything? No. Did I lose money? Yeah. But all I was trying to do was get an email address so I can market to them and try to get, the exterior job when, that came around. And so sometimes I was willing to work for free, but, you got to start by, trying to figure out, 2 8-hour days, what's your hourly wage, you have invested in it, what's the cost of materials you have invested in it, and then, what's the margin that you need to add for your business. You should be working for just an hourly wage. When you figure out your time and materials, you got to add on like 20 to 40% to your business, because your business has to make money to invest back into the business and for the business to be profitable. If you own your own business, you don't want to be just working for an hourly wage. So, it takes some time. It takes years to learn. There are some business coaches out there on the painting side of it that offer coaching and stuff. And one of my friends is paying one of the coaching services. That there's quite a few painters, that there's multiple of them out there that are pretty good, and you can pay, and they have weekly meetings, monthly meetings, and they give you the software, and you literally just punch in, do some measurements, punch in numbers. It literally will spit out your numbers. and they're almost right on. So I've been working with, one of my friends, and he's paying for the service, and he has a software. He goes out there, and he'll say, how much would you bid it for, Chris? And I just spit a number off my head because I've been doing it for like so long, and then he'll punch it in the computer, and it's usually like pretty dead on. So it makes it so you don't have to have all the knowledge in your head, that you can just hire somebody and then they can just run the little laptop or the iPad or whatever and spit out numbers. So it does take practice, and it takes time. So cool. Thanks. That was Lamont Brandau. So thank you for your question. Hopefully that helps a little bit. It's a long subject that would take me quite a while. Where is Lisa? So typically my wife, is with me on all my live shows. She's been with me for years, but she's been traveling because to Alabama. So that's my oldest daughter. They're in Alabama because her husband, he's in residency. He's a doctor. And so he has to spend some time over there. So unfortunately they got to live long ways away. My family's always been like right here and close, which has been awesome. Because I love being around my family all the time. And so they're there. She's pregnant, having her third. So, we travel back and forth. So I do travel a lot. When you see me, like my last fishing excursions, I like to post, I was in Gulf Shores. So that was close to where they are. So when I go there, take the grandkids out, go out with my son-in-law because we love to fish. So that's where Lisa's at. And I've like, since she's been gone, I've been trying to like perfect this whole thing, and because the last time my wife was like, I can't stand the pictures, man. She's like, I gotta fix that. And so I fixed the pictures. I lowered them. And so hopefully that looks better, Lisa. So like when my wife comes back, I wanted to like have it dialed in when we do it together. The lighting was always kind of off, and our faces were washed out. And I think I got the lighting, because now I just have one light. Well, I have this accent light, and then you have this light over here. So the main light, so it kind of shadows this side off. So there's only one light in the room. You don't have light coming down, and so it kind of washed. My wife sometimes would look washed out a little bit, and every now and then, most of the time she wouldn't wear glasses, but there was a few times she had glare on her glasses, blah blah blah. So I'm getting this all perfected for when my favorite co-host comes back on. So I'm getting it dialed in, sound, everything, and fixing everything to make it look cool. I was going to try doing it vertical, and but that it's sometimes that it looks pretty cool, but then everything's got to be like tight. I couldn't test out whether my pictures were there. I don't have my accents around me in my studio. The studio is downstairs. I've got a couple of them. So that's Luke's the other super rad son-in-law. He's his wife, my daughter, McKenna, had a baby. So Beth, he's probably home taking care of Beth. Can't wait to go see her, pretty soon. I'm going to run over there after, the show, get to hold her eyes. Got to hold her. I think I just lose track of days. I'm pretty sure I was over there last night and got to hold her. So that she's so tiny. It's like the miracle, like God's miracle, of life. It's like to think that little person, that little human being was actually inside of a person like a day ago. It's the craziest thing ever. It's like I try to like comprehend that and just go, that person that was living inside of a human being. It's crazy, man. It's so one of the greatest things that God does. So pretty cool. Human life. Hey, from Eastern Kentucky. So Jonathan McPeak says, so I've kind of like dialed this whole thing in because now I got it so my wife can read it, because my wife always had a time reading it. I think she's going to be able to read this and stuff. So pretty cool, pretty stoked. Fairly new painting business owner here, going on 3 years, still wearing, all the hats, LOL. I like wore all the hats until I sold my company. So a lot of hats. Just want to say thank you for all the content. So thanks for supporting me, Jonathan. I don't exist, if people don't watch my content, and I appreciate it greatly. Thankful for every viewer. Even the people that make negative comments and stuff, I only wish the best for them, for them and their company and their families and stuff. And they're watching, so they're supporting the views. If you purchase from my store, I thank you so much. My family thanks you so much. It's the only reason, once again, I exist. And I love to help people out. So if I can help you out, that's what I'm here to do. So Kyler Hernandez has a question. I'm going to get on to talking about new technology and tips too. So have you looked into any AI tools for your business? I have. I've been using them a lot. I use Chat GPT. I use Rask. I've been using you know, AI in my Shopify store. I'm kind of a tech guy. I'm doing this stuff, so it's in software guy. It's kind of like a little bit of my passion. But all my Spanish speaking videos are done. They're lip synced and voice cloned. It's crazy when you listen to them. It's the craziest thing because it's me speaking Spanish. My wife just starts busting up laughing every time she hears it. But Chat GPT, I mean, you can write, newsletters now like that. It's incredible. You have no excuse to be not writing newsletters to your customers and helping them out. AI just does like everything. And it's kind of scary to a certain extent. But Chat GPT, I use it quite a bit for a lot of different things. And like just to give you an example, my video titles and descriptions for my YouTube videos, I use Chat GPT to write them. It's crazy. I used to sit there and bust my noggin and try to come up with new titles and descriptions. And to be honest with you, I actually just suck at writing. I mean, that's just like I think I've failed English 101, a couple times in college and junior college, and I'm just not a good writer. I'm not very creative writing and stuff. And man, ChatGPT is like insane. I absolutely love it. So, writing, there's all kinds of things it can write for you in your business. So, I mean, use it, take advantage of it. So, and that you can set up and to execute things and do stuff for your business. One example would be a lead generation agent for houses, recent and dot dot dot. I mean, there's so much. I mean, if you like technology, man, it's gonna help your business, exponentially, man. So get involved in it and use it. It's there. It's free. So before I get to Gareth Thompson's question, I'll talk about new tip technology. So check this out. So Exit Flex is Swiss made tips. So some of the tips, man, I'm just over the years, the tips I used to use all Graco tips, and then I thought their tips just declined over time. I think low pressure, going to all low pressure had a tendency to for make atomization, not too much overspray, the patterns and the layout too eggshelly, and that's. I mean, we got to have a tip that does it all. When it runs in a little smart, tiny pump and a big pump, you're going to have to give somewhere. You always got to give. There's no way. You just can't run a low pressure tip in all scenarios and all pumps and not have some give somewhere. And then Tritech started making to me the best fine finish tips there are, and I think Tritech tips are absolutely amazing. So typically when I all my furniture cabinets and stuff, if I was using an airless sprayer, Tritech. If I'm spraying, I'm doing doors, a lot of doors, Tritech 510. If I'm doing like cabinets with an airless sprayer, like a Tritech 206, a 308. Their fine finish is absolutely the best. And so if you haven't tried Tritech tips, I highly recommend it. So Tritech, the company Tritech sprayers, if you don't know, if you haven't heard of them, Tritech is 100% made in the USA. So if you like to support the United States, if you like to support American companies, Tritech in New Jersey, I believe that's where they're located. Their sprayers are manufactured in the USA. So Tritech tips are awesome. But so Poly Hose is a company, a hose company. They started dabbling. They make all kinds of fittings, and they make some of the best airless fittings you'll ever see. Swiss technology. There's swivels. There's Z swivel. There's straight swivel. The little mini micro swivels, absolutely incredible. And if you compare them to some of the stuff, I was literally just in Sherwin's just like a few hours ago, and they had a micro swivel by Titan hanging there, and I grabbed it. It's like twice the size. You look at it, it's not nearly the quality manufacturing and stuff. Swiss technology is absolutely amazing. So their swivels are insane. So they started making tips, and they've been working on these tips for a long time. This specific tip, they've got Speedy 7. So if you're not a fan of Graco tips, if you don't like their finish, if you don't like a Chinese finish, you can now get a Swiss-made finish with exit flex. So this is the Speedy 7 are Graco Rack X versions of their tips. So it has the barrel size of a Rack X tip. So it'll go actually into a Graco Rack X guard. But one of the crazy things about Swiss technology, these guys are so good. The technology, this is their Speedy 6. So the Speedy 6 goes in the round side of the guard right there. The Speedy 7, which is the Graco, goes into the square side. So this tip will now be housed into the square side of this guard. And so the guard itself, the only guard, in the world that can house, both tips. So if you are switching tips, if you're using Graco Rack X, or if you have a bunch of variant tips, instead of having multiple guards, if your Graco guard breaks, why replace and have two guards when you can just have one guard? And one of the things is the Speedy 7 right here, the seat and seal is housed right inside the guard right there. So it's housed inside the guard, and it has a little blue O-ring on it. So the blue O-ring indicates that is a Speedy 7 seal. Because if you didn't know, the barrel size is different. So you just have to pop out the seal right here. The seal just pops out with the tool. Pop out the Speedy 6 seal, which is in there. Pop in the CD7 seal. Put the CD6 seal back into the CD6 tip, and away you go. Or you can actually just put it, right into the Speedy 7, which is the Graco version, and this is the Speedy 6, so it's black. So you can see this is going to be equivalent to a Tritech, a Titan, a Bedford tip. So it's going to be equivalent to a Graco Rack 5 tip right there. So it'll fit in any one of those guards. But I started testing out their tips. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely amazing. So it's like rivaling Tritech's tips. I mean, these guys have got this really dialed in. Man, the laser cutting, it's going to be really hard to see, but the laser cutting on there, it's got like a cross cut on there, and that's kind of similar to a Tritech tip, and it just has something to do with the finish, atomizing better. Absolutely incredible. So tip technology is evolving. It's coming somewhere. There's people investing into the technology, trying to get us, better finishes out there. We're always striving for the best finishes on cabinets, furniture, lacquers, using lacquers, polyurethanes, etc. So there it is. So it's blue. It comes in all different sizes. That's a 515. I'm going to be using that to spray Emerald Rain Refresh on the exterior. So I'm going to be testing out multiple of these tips. Here's the 310. I've actually already used the 310. Absolutely incredible, super fine finish. The tips are awesome. Yeah, it's interesting, because you can house. You just got to be little. Sometimes I'll pop it off right there. Green resembles like a lot of us are familiar, fine finish. So Speedy 7, fine finish, green, 310 tip right there. So super excited. So Exit Flex makes the Z swivel. They make the micro swivel. They make the micro swivel HD. Exit Flex makes the best whips you'll ever put on your gun, hands down. If you have a spray gun, well, there's the Z swivel right there. If you haven't seen a Z swivel, so Titan has a copy of Exit Flex Z swivel, which is twice the weight and twice the size, super big and bulky. This is super tiny, doesn't add hardly any weight to it, and just performs flawlessly. So somebody asked me, why put that onto a whip? Somebody just recently bought a whip from us, attached the whip to the hose, and when you have the whip in your hand, the end of it swivels. But it's a compression fitting, so when you tighten it on and you have to wrench tighten it, it doesn't swivel anymore. So it swivels when it's just sitting there before it's tightened. The person sent a video, said, hey, when it's hand tight it swivels, but as soon as I tighten it, it doesn't swivel. It doesn't swivel. That's why I actually put a Z swivel or a micro swivel on with my whip. It just, oh my gosh, when you're spraying for hours and hours, and I've had over 12, 13,000 hours of spray time, in my hand. When you're doing this day in and day out, you want to make it, easier on yourself, less likely to get carpal tunnel, tennis elbow, tendonitis, all that stuff. It's worth the investment. It's going to last you forever. You got to have it. So, hi, I'm from the UK. I've been there. Absolutely love it. I'm going to be launching a new cabinet spraying aid product into the market. Cabinet spraying aid product late this year and early next. I hope you're over the water to be over the water will be interested. I would love to. I was over there just in Ireland here recently and in London. I was there just before the National Painting and Decorating Show. I've been there twice. Absolutely love it. I would love to go back. I think it's a really cool show. I get to see a lot of cool stuff. So I'd love it if I can manage to get over there somehow again, this upcoming time. So, so Gareth Thompson's, yeah, so love to see your product, man. Email me, get a hold of me. You can send it to me. Share it with me. I'd love to support you if it's a great product. So if you suck at taking measurements, Hover app is amazing. Hover is actually really, really cool. So check it out if you've never heard of it. He says it's amazing. I'd say it's amazing too. So I made some video content on it. It actually was really, really cool. They're mostly for exterior. You just take photos and they create a 3D rendering of the building. They're rolling out beta for the interiors right now. It's crazy because you just take photos and it does all the measurements. So like if you're into like measuring all the walls to do calculations, for paint and stuff like that, it's absolutely amazing. It kind of just makes it, foolproof, dummy proof. It's I just look at the house and I just say, well, it's 12 gallons. I've been doing it, for so long, but not everybody has that experience. I mean, when you're starting out your painting company and you just miscalculate by 5 gallons and the gallons are $90 a gallon, 5 times of like, is that 105 times 9 is 45, $450. So you just wasted $450. So it matters. So check it out, Hover. It's actually really cool. So Speedy 7, I don't know, I'll show you Speedy 7 tips, man. I was talking about them. So the Exit Flex Speedy 7, if you actually wanted to try one of those tips and try Exit Flex technology, the thing is if you haven't tried it, you should try it. If you've been stuck on Graco for years, go out and compare other tips, at least try and do some comparisons. Try Bedford. Bedford is like, one of the cheapest options out there. They're made in the USA. They're cheaper and a little bit more affordable because tips are really expensive now. and they do function really, really well. So Bedford chips are not cheap tips. They're not like cheap tips coming from China. Bedford is a quality company. It's a U.S. company, and everything Bedford makes is 100% made in the USA. So, give it a try. Just, go get one and give it a try. And I would love to know what you think. And so don't wonder about it. And just don't take my opinion. Just because I say they're great doesn't mean, they're great. It's like you have an opinion too. Give one a try. Give TriTech a top try. If you do cabinets and if you do furniture with an airless sprayer, you're going to be amazed. So TriTech 310 for interior trim, TriTech 510 for doors. If I'm doing new construction doors, a lot of doors, a TriTech a TriTech 310, 510, 206 and 306 for spraying polys, 2K polys. But once again, now I've been, now I'm starting to use Exit Flex stuff. I'm starting to really, dig their tips. I think they're, rivaling TriTech. So I think these are the two top options now, in my opinion, that you can buy. So if you love fine finishes, you're into it, you've got to give it a try. So there you go. Let's see, get some questions going here. Let's see. Hi, second talking to you measured hover app. We've got, let's see, Noah Zark. I get it, Noah's Ark. What's the average hourly rate for a top level painter where you're at? So, I guess when you're saying top level, you're probably, talking about a journeyman painter. I would say, you're probably around, what's the, top $32 an hour, like $32 an hour, $35 an hour. You could be making, it's a lot different here than it is in California. You could probably go to California and make that as an apprentice and stuff, but $32 an hour is a pretty decent, wage here. So I think you're probably going to be somewhere like 32, 35 if you're top level. Like, if I had to go to work and I just went to a local painter and said, man, I need a job. This is what I know. I'm going to be saying 35 and up. I'm obviously saying more, but like realistically, if you said 32, 35, you're probably going to be able to get a job like instantly. It's not every single painter here is hiring. So if you want a job, come here. I've been working out estimates with the help of ChatGPT. I've been trying to do the production rate. It's crazy, like ChatGPT. Sometimes my daughter will have a question. She asked the other day ChatGPT to see what it would come up with, like what needle, nozzle, and cap size for an Apollo airless sprayer to spray emerald urethane. And it spit out it was crazy. It spit out the needle, cap, and nozzle. And the only thing that was off was the cap. It said was a C cap, but I would have said a C high solids cap. That was the only miss that it really had on it. So it's an added cost, like $80 to $140. But I'll tell you what the 3D render you can customize and you're customizing your mind and your design blows customers away. It's cool. There's a lot of apps out there that really make you look good and make you look professional. Here's another tool, pretty dang cool. This little spring tool right here. And I used to I would used to take a hammer and I would typically just grab a 16 penny nail or grab a flathead screwdriver, and I would be just tapping my hammer and the screwdriver trying to get the hinge pins out, and invariably it would slip, it would scratch a door, it would nick the trim, and or you drop the nail and or the pin just goes flying. There was always these stupid little ridiculous things that would happen. And then you nick the trim. Now you're bondoing it, sanding it. This little handy device right here, if you've never seen one, you just pull it back and you just pop it dink, and it just taps the pin, knocks the pin right out. And it's actually, I've actually done it, and the pins come flying out. I'm just caught in my hand. People have actually, you know, criticized me for not wearing eye protection because you hit the pin and it could go up and hit you in the eye, and I'm not concerned about that. But maybe you should be using eye protection. But that's actually a pretty dang cool device, a hinge pin remover. If you've never seen that before, right there they come. You can get them. It comes in a set with a nail set. So every painter, I've got multiple of these, on the magnetic device, in my trailer, along with the nail sets, the hinge pit set remover. This is a caulking gun. So I got sent this caulking gun, to me, it's a couple times they've sent them to me, and it's by Newborn. So Newborn sent me this caulking gun, and I thought, well, that's actually, it's interesting. So it's got some tools on it. So check this out. I don't know, like, if you would care, but it has a little scraper on there. I'm not sure if I would ever use that, but I'm curious if you would, a scraper and maybe a leveling tool. So it's integrated, right into the caulking gun. I think that might, be an issue, like dropping and losing it, but it just tucks in underneath there. So it's a tool integrated into the caulking gun, and it has another tool integrated into this side, and it's a rubber tool, and it's like compression, it's on there. So, and that's like to level out your caulking or smooth it out instead of using your fingers. I would actually never use that ever, because I use the pad of my finger. Now I'm a big believer in the pad of my finger because you get feedback back from doing your caulking. You can get feedback whether you're putting too much pressure, too little pressure, whether you need your fingers tell you the whole story. When you're doing exteriors and you're wearing gloves, it doesn't really matter. But if you're really doing some fine caulking, sponge caulking, some people like the tools. I don't know. It's would you buy that gun? That's a gun by Newborn right there, and it looks very similar to Dripless. A little trivia: any gun that's yellow, Dripless has the trademark on that. So if you see a caulking gun that's yellow, it's manufactured by Dripless, the company. So theirs is red. So Newborn can't make it yellow, so they made it red. Has a lot of similarities. I do kind of like the handle on it. It's got a softer, rubber handle on it, and it's got the part, that throws the web of your hand in. It kind of tells you, where you're at. So, has your typical cutter on it that actually cuts your caulking tube. It has your, like, every caulking gun, it has the device that actually pokes it into your caulking if it's got foil inside of it. But see, as soon as I release that, the little tool fell down. I think that would start to annoy me, it falling out. But here's another tool. People are inventing stuff like all the time. So if you've never, wow, there it went. If you've never seen this device, it's the retracto cap, and so it goes on to your caulking gun, and it retracts, and it goes onto the end of the tube of caulking, and so it's kind of an interesting little tool, and so clips onto your caulking gun. And so if you have a problem with your caulking dripping, it just goes right over the end of your tube. And a lot of your caulking tubes, these days do drip. And so if you're doing an exterior and it drips on the concrete, that could get a little annoying, So the retracto cap is kind of an interesting, tool. That's another tool, which is interesting. So I found out with that company that you're probably not going to be able to get them anymore. And so if you thought it was cool, what I heard is they're no longer going to exist. I heard like a caulking manufacturing company bought the license to them. And I'm not sure if it's dripless or not, but they don't have any plans to manufacture them that I know of. And so I'm not sure why um, they would buy the license to it and not manufacture it. They might be attempting to, like, maybe Newborn bought it and they're trying to incorporate it into their caulking gun, So, you know, now you have a caulking gun with your tools attached and something that makes it dripless. I mean, there is, it's kind of annoying if you're caulking, especially if it drips on carpet. Typically, like, here's kind of like a little trade secret. If you drip, caulking on the concrete outside when doing an exterior, I don't ever like mess with it while it's wet. I just let it dry. And once it's dry, you just kick it with your foot and it rolls it right off the concrete. While it's wet, if you try to wipe it, it just like smears it down into the concrete. Then it gets down there, seals the pores, it leaves a permanent spot. So just let it dry, scuff it off with the foot. It'll just actually roll off in a ball. Simple little tip, handy little tip from, a painter. So pretty cool. If getting back to if you joined, later on, the roof booties, I talked about these while like a guy invented these, and I believe in Florida. Dude, if you can find this guy and tell him like make these things and sell them, I would actually buy a couple more pair. I'm sure there's a lot of painters that would like to buy them. If you didn't see, if you came on late, it goes on to a ladder. So ladder boot, instead of using plastic and stuff, it's called, the ladder booty. So I get sent stuff like that all the time. Like the Holy Race. So I was at a hardware show, saw this stuff, and I thought this is the biggest nonsense that, since I don't even know. So it's spackle, like, in a eraser thing, and you're just like smeared on and it just erases the whole. Well, that's like the white that is. It's what white is it actually going to match? It's not going to erase anything, but crazy stuff exists. Trust me. So let's see what else. We got more questions. Oh, I might be falling behind. Let's see. Where were we? Let's cruise back up here. Funny about that thing. Wow, we've gotten some questions. Having holes both blah. Keith Hernandez also wanted to thank you. See, Mike Gausted, the Paul Sprayer, from Coeur d'Alene, he says, awesome, thank you, Keith Hernandez. It's added $140. Okay, there we go. We're back in line. So awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Lisa, my wife, on the chat. So I don't know if like Troy and Ace are watching. Big shout out to Troy. Are you watching? Are you watching, little man? Is Abigail watching? So let her, my grandkids. They like to watch my videos. It's crazy. So we've been trying it for a commercial estimating. It seems to do well on measuring blueprints, but it's got some room for growth. So that's pretty cool to hear. See, we've got, let's see, Mountain Home Painting. Hey, from Coeur d'Alene. Well, we got Mountain Home like close by. So Coeur d'Alene's right here in Idaho. Big shout out to Mountain Home Painting because they are up in the mountains. That makes sense. So Mike says, hey, if I were to get the Apollo sprayer, how much less overspray would travel compared to an airless sprayer? Could I get away without bagging up the whole kitchen level doing cabinets on repaint? So a massive amount less, a significant amount less. I think it's like 40 to 50% more transfer rate of material to the substrate. It's absolutely incredible. And if you think about like the width of an airless sprayer, like the smallest width is like this. So when you're doing the edge of a door, you have a ton of overspray. The droplets are huge. The PSI is significant. It's like 1800 PSI. You have a ton of fallout. When you're using an Apollo Precision 6, I run it around 9 PSI compared to 1800 PSI. You can dial it down to a spray pattern if your product is expensive to like that. So you're not losing overspray. It's a world of difference to having, a boatload of silica dust on the floor that you're tracking through the house, or even wet overspray that you're stepping in with an airless sprayer. Airless sprayers are meant for speed, man. They apply paint fast, and they're great for doing walls. They're great for doing ceilings, the exteriors of houses. But they're not about saving paint, and they're not about controlling overspray and product transfer rate. Yeah, it'll transfer a ton of product to those walls and transfer them, fast, but you are going to have a significant amount of fallout. There's give and take. I mean, when you're doing the walls, that's one thing. You don't want to be using an HVLP, but it's night and day. When I highly recommend an Apollo Precision 6 when doing cabinets, furniture, wrought iron fences. It will pay for itself, the first time you use it. When your products are $140 a gallon, $120, $40 a gallon, and you're losing 20 of it on the floor, it's going to pay for itself pretty fast. So highly recommend it. So you can't say that. Mike Gausted. Hopefully I didn't butcher your name. Also wanted to thank you and your family for sending a giant box of frog tape last week, for commenting on the live a couple weeks ago. I was blown away at getting everything, every color of frog tape. So frog tape, that's one of the cool things. And it's not coming out of my pocket. I'm not paying for it. I just call up frog tape and say, hey, this guy was on the live show. Will you do me a favor and send him a bunch of frog tape? And frog tape is like, well, heck yeah, we'll send them, some products. So they send you the products. So, I love frog tape. I'm a big fan of frog tape. I'm a big fan of the company because they do really cool stuff like that. When somebody's on our show, when they're on my group Paint Life members, every month frog tape gives a package to the member of the month. So big shout out to frog tape and all they do for my audience. So we gave away multiple packages on the live show. Why handles like all that stuff. So when she's back, we'll do some more giveaways next time. So we like to give away stuff. So cool. I'm glad you got it. Glad you enjoyed it. I missed the old tip that had 2 different sizes. I can't remember the name. It would be like a 310 and 510. So the guy that's invented this, the fan pivot, which is absolutely sick. He actually invented the best dual-sided tip you'll ever find. So he made it, and now it's no different than the size. The one you're talking about, it's a big bulky thing, and you have an adapter to make. It has a tip on both sides of it, and it looks just like a regular tip. He's trying to get somebody to license it. He would like Graco or Titan to license it and start manufacturing it. It's absolutely really cool. So he invented, this cool thing called the fan pivot. So it pivots your, gun fan, 90 degrees magnetically. It has some super strong magnets in it. So that thing is absolutely amazing. I started using that, I don't know, a year ago, something like that. This is my gun setup. I pulled it off my gun to bring it in here. I'm going to be using it, filming with it, starting this setup to start, doing rain refresh, filming with rain refresh. And so going to be testing out Excellent Flex's, full line of tips. So the fan pivot, they're selling them in Europe now. Paint Life Supply Co. sells them, and they've been selling like hotcakes. Every time we get them, they sell out. So they're actually pretty cool. So let's get back to our chat. Let's see. Also want to thank you. Let's see. We've got Kyler. I missed the old tip that had 2 different. So that was Mike's back on. Mike says having holes on both sides of that should seem easier to clean. In there, it needed compared to the Graco shroud. Yeah. So hopefully that tip actually comes out. So now you'll be able to have like a 310 and a 510 or a 310 and a 515 for doing exteriors, which I think would be really cool. So good to know. I don't know. I didn't know Bedford was USA. So Bedford, so they manufacture like all your repacking kits and stuff like that. They're better than OEM. So because they're not made in China. So Bedford is a company that manufactures all kinds of parts for like every imaginable sprayers, pumps, pipe fittings, and they're all like high quality, highly engineered, 100% made in the USA. So, Bedford tips are, and we have them in Paint Life Supply Co. And we don't sell them very often because, and I would probably like, venture to say that, you know, people just assume they're cheap Chinese tips, from China. And and so I'm like China manufactured tips. They're not. They're actually because most people's like, well, I've never even heard of them. Well, you probably never even heard of them, like Tritech, and Tritech is manufactured, 100% USA. I never heard of Tritech till I went to London, and I went to the National Painting and Decorating Show, and I've been using airless sprayers for years and years, and I saw Tritech there, and I'm like, what the heck? I've never seen that before. What is that? Where did it come from? And they're like, New Jersey, United States. I'm like, well, how did I never hear about it? Well, because they don't market. And so Bedford doesn't market either. And if you're in the business of like, repairing airless sprayers and stuff like that, those are the people that are like buying the stuff in bulk and they're repairing airless sprayers and pumps and stuff like that. Because they're typically like 40% cheaper than OEM products, and yet they're better. So better than OEM, less expensive prices. So Bedford it's a great company. It's right here in the United States, and every time like they come out with a new sprayer, a new spray gun or whatever, they pull it apart, and they start making parts for it so you can get the parts cheaper, etc. So I need to pick up the quick connect extensions. Already I had our paint store carrying one over a year ago, saw you with it. So we do have them in our family owned and operated store. They're Triad quick connect extensions. Absolutely love them. And they are like top notch, high quality made. I believe they're made in Canada. We get them shipped from Canada. And I got to say, if you haven't seen the Triad connections, check them out, man. They're awesome. So let's see, so uh, they quick connect. You'll see me like in my new construction course and do new construction constantly, because in new construction you're constantly changing extensions, from doing high ceilings, etc. And it's so awesome to like quickly connect. They're not cheap. Made amazing. You do have to have an adapter for your gun and your guard to go on them to connect. So running out of time. I've already been over an hour. So let's see. I get paid $50 union. Awesome. So yeah, I was talking about like wages here. So wages here are going to be a lot different than wages, in California. $50 union is probably about what you'd be getting, down there in California, I would assume. So let's see, we've got here in Palm Springs. So right here in Palm Springs, you're lucky to get 20 an hour for a journeyman. That's crazy. Is that Palm Springs, like California? So a little trivia, right over the mountain is Hemet, and that's where I graduated from high school. I lived quite a bit of my life there in Hemet and San Jacinto. So if you didn't know, Dave Deezer. So if that's the Palm Springs you're talking about, kind of cool. Big shout out to you. Wild brush hairs, cut them at the base, or I always just grab them and yank them off. So just rip them off. But if you buy good quality brushes, you're not going to rarely, if ever, run into that. So here's a good quality brush right here. This is the Premier Montauk, handmade USA Premier Brush Company. Awesome brushes. My favorite brushes right there. They're professional brushes. They're all literally handmade. You're not going to get a better brush. You're absolutely going to love their brushes. And so let's see, we got trying to burn through these real quick. Funny thing about the spring tool, my old boss mentor found those really early on, and he turned it into an AR rifle breakdown tool. Yep, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool story. Looks like dead weight. So I'm not sure what that was referring to. How come the tool tool you use to lay down tape and protective paper. Why is that tool so expensive? Sorry, I don't know the name of it, you know, but so that's probably the 3M 3000 hand masker, top three greatest tools ever invented for a painter. And yeah, it's like it's not cheap, but they typically last forever if you take care of them. So it's typically a once in a lifetime purchase. So I have like 10 of them. I think I paid like $40 to $50 for mine. Yep, that's about, average. And I only use a film blade. I don't use paper blades. Never use them. I rip off the guard off the film blades and just keep the blade exposed. I just thought it was terribly expensive, and so is the replacement cutting blades. They are expensive, but they're a must-have tool. So a 3x4 sander is more expensive. It's like 800. So it's a hand masker. It's an M3000 hand masker. It's the only version worth purchasing. Anything else is just cheap junk. That's looked like a fantastic caulking gun. Pretty cool caulking gun. It was, I can't remember what it was. They sent me a package, newborn. So I don't even know like who they make a bunch of different caulking, guns, accessories. Is that a smiley face? Yeah, the smiling face is on there, so it comes with it. Maybe someone can 3D print a hand masker cheaper. That would be a good idea. So is that tool called a tape masker? M3000 hand masker is what it's called. So I keep it old school. Let's see, we've got, Nadir. Hello, bro. I'm a painter, 26 years experience. Cool. Glad to hear that. Dave says it's called a hand masker. Yep, everybody's answering. Thanks for shouting out at her. Coeur d'Alene, damn, that's such a beautiful place. Coeur d'Alene's amazing. So, oh my gosh, we've got a lot of questions here. Yep, in 2000. Pretty cool. I'm going to get going because I'm over my hour already. So I kind of introduce you guys to some new stuff like the brush booties. If you've never seen, Swiss technology and Speedy 7 tips. That's something new I just got sent not too long ago. So it's a Graco size tip in Swiss technology. So we talking about some new tools next time. Let's see, I'll show you. Check it out. Look at that. If you haven't seen that tool, I have that in my bin. Check this out. Here's a tool that adjusts. We'll show that tool. Check this out. If you haven't seen one of these things, what would you use that thing for? There's a tool. I get it sent. Well, here's something. I'll talk about that. What the heck is that thing for? So I'll show you. We'll talk about that. I've actually used it before. It's actually a pretty cool tool, but I don't keep it in my trailer anymore. So once again, big shout out to Frog Tape, man, for providing tape, to our watchers. They provide free packages to our viewers. When my wife comes back, we'll be doing some more giveaways, giving away packages of Frog Tape, to some viewers. I think I'm getting everything dialed in. If the sound sucked, if the lighting sucked, let me know. If I can make improvements, let me know. I'd love to hear, your opinions. If I'm getting my studio looking good. What do you think of that? Added that little accessory right there. Anyways, thanks for showing up here, and we'll see you next time talking about tools, answering your questions right here on Paint Live TV live.